Good morning. I don't know how I was late. I was actually ready well in advance. It is the Schultz cast, episode number 31 by my count. We probably need the microphone. Good weekend overall. Weather was nice. We had some rain earlier in the week, right? Changed the workout this morning. We'll see how that goes. Not that you need to know, but 3 sets of whatever. Now I'm doing 1 set, 8 reps, but 16 seconds a rep. The only one that didn't really work out was the bench. I probably could do a little bit more on that, but a little bit different. I did do 3 sets of 4 pull-ups. That was different. I added another pull-up, so that was pretty good. Weight, we've put on 3 pounds. Unfortunately, we'll see what happens today. I ate well on Sunday. I didn't eat well over the weekend. It is what it is. All right. Lots to do today. I forgot TJ already clicking in. He's happy about his Rutgers transfer to the Crimson Tide. All right. Before Saturday, TJ didn't know who Clifford was, had never seen Clifford play, couldn't pick him out of a lineup of 5 Cliffords. But he's happy that he's with the Crimson Tide. All right. There you go, TJ. He's all happy. All right. The rest of us are dealing with college baseball and college softball and already looking forward to college football. TJ already knows that maybe Alabama won't make the playoff and is ready for college basketball and is just waiting for Mark Sears to return to the Crimson Tide. All right. Good morning, TJ. Thanks for hopping on. I was warned that was coming. Cajuns baseball. So what do we got? We got Cajuns baseball, Cajuns softball, LSU baseball, LSU softball. I forgot to list the Kentucky Derby. Brian Hernandez Jr., Lafayette native, winning it. One of the great Kentucky Derbies of all time. Happens to be the 150th. My family won some money on that. We'll get into that. I did not. Probably should have, but I did not. I thought about it for 8 seconds maybe when I saw the odds, and I just didn't. All right, so let's talk about this Cajuns baseball team. And I know when they were on, what they had won 21-22 going to Coastal, and some people call them frauds. I don't think they're frauds. All right, it's not fraudulent to win 16 baseball games in a row and 21 out of 22. You just don't do it, right? I mean, I know it's a different comparison, but they're very excited about the Phillies winning 5 in a row because that's pretty good. When you win a handful of games in a row, that's good. So 16 is ridiculous. I think it was a little bit of a mirage. The best team they beat was ODU. The winning streak started after they beat La Tech. La Tech ended the winning streak. And so a couple of things we've brought up, and maybe I need to go back and look what Degg said about beating Marshall the way they did. And I know Gary Gilmore from Coastal kind of poo-pooed what I said. They're in free-for-all, by the way. And, does it matter how you score the runs, how you win? He's like, no, I just care about scoring more runs. A win is a win. Yeah, but I kind of looking big picture, right? So when the Cajuns shut down Marshall, when they gave up like 1 run all weekend or something like that, wow, this Cajun pitching staff's really good. Top 10 in the nation. They've given up 64 runs, earned or otherwise. Well, not earned, but 64 runs to Coastal and Troy the last 2 road weekends. Andrew Herman should have had a 1-2-3 inning in the first inning against Troy, and the Cajuns would have led 2-0 into the second inning. Instead, Kyle DeBarge, who still can't be stopped at the plate, boots a ball. 2 walks later, they're hitting a grand slam, and it's 4-2. Somewhere along the way, all right, I know the defense let you down, and you gave up 4 unearned runs. Somewhere along the way, the pitcher has to say, I got it. No. Cajuns bullpen wasn't very good on Saturday. LP Langevin, and they're throwing 2-2 sliders. I don't get it. Just not very good. And then the coup de grace, blowing a 12-6 lead. JT Etheridge is hitting guys. I know barely. They did miss a 3-2 pitch that would have ended it before it got a little more sticky in the 9th inning. But it doesn't change the fact that they blew a 12-6 lead. I saw calling out Nick Domain. I was the same way. I'm not even sure how thrilled the Cajuns are with the win. I guess Matt Deggs on the postgame show said, I don't, the best team in the country can be debatable, but the toughest team isn't. I'm not sure how tough this team is. Is that a nice win after you blow a 12-6 lead in the ninth? Sure. But their pitchers haven't got, the ninth and the 10th were a couple of the times they got out of tough jams in 2 weeks. I think actually Blake McGehee was really good. Got a couple of double plays. Here's the other thing. I'm not sure how much of a game plan, and I don't know how this works in college baseball. And plans change, all right? But it kind of feels like Matt Deggs kind of plays the hot hand. We're going with who's hot. If you have a good game on Tuesday, you're playing Wednesday. If you did good in the midweek, if you did well on Friday, you're playing Saturday. So Blake McGehee, and I'll admit this is kind of playing the results, but I tweeted out, Blake McGehee's going, can they get 3 good innings of baseball? Well, they got 4. He had his best inning in the 4th, but they brought him out and they pushed it because why would we not? It's the bottom of the order. Let's get a 5th inning. And it just felt like, I don't know what the game plan was, but if I got 3 innings of good baseball from Blake McGehee, let's go with it. All right. But I got a 4th inning, and so we tried to get a 5th, and it didn't work. Now, Jack Martinez came in, and again, like Langevin did, Langevin threw a wild pitch. Martinez balked for home run. Martinez pitched pretty well, right? Got a strikeout on a ground ball. Could have got out of there without giving up any runs, but balks a run home. That may be the biggest outing that Jack's had since opening day. Right. And he's gone from opening day pitcher to, kind of midweek mop-up guy to now he came in a big spot. Let's give credit to Jack Martinez. And for some reason, I still have it here. I thought I deleted the thing. So I thought the beginning of the Cajuns pitching staff was pretty good. Marshall somehow gave up a run without a base hit. Fluno gave up a run. I think they gave up a 2-run home run. That may have been it. Etheridge, 4. I hadn't pitched in a bit. 1/3 of an inning, 4 runs on 1 hit. That's the grand slam. Holtzhammer comes in, 2 runs on 2/3 of an inning. And Christie nails it down barely, right? Connor Higgs hasn't done a whole lot since he got hot against Southeastern. He had 4 runs batted in, I think, in the Sunday ball game, or maybe the Saturday ball game against Coastal. And he hasn't had a multi-RBI game since until yesterday, and that was big. Had a big RBI single, I think the 11th Cajuns run, and then out of nowhere hits a home run. Debo gets on, and then Taylor brings him home. I'm still not sure. Why is Taylor hitting cleanup? What? I'm not sure why that is. Why isn't Trey LaFleur hitting cleanup? That's who I'd want to clean up. I'd put Taylor first. Mandino didn't see the field. So you put Taylor, Mandino. You could even put Taylor, Stelly, DeBarge, and then LaFleur. And then you can do Amity, or you could do Pastor, and then Amity, right? You can figure out the lefty-righty situation. I'm just not sure how good this Cajuns team is. It's not, they just have not proven to be, I don't think, I hate to put it this way, but mentally tough. I know they came away with a big win yesterday. That's great. But boy, they are, I think they are who we think they are. All right. And they got Jackson State this week. We don't have to remember that one. You don't have to, even I remember that one. Don't screw that up. And I guess if you can take 2 out of 3 from Georgia Southern, who's all of a sudden tied for 3rd, and 2 out of 3 from South Alabama, I think you're in a spot where, sadly enough, you're in a spot where you've put yourself into where you're going to have to do damage in the tournament again, right? They were in a spot to not have to worry about it, but they've blown that spot, right? Can they get, I don't even know what the record is. Let me see what the record is. 40 wins. They got 7 games left. It doesn't say there. Let me see. So they were 49th. They fell to 50th overall. So they really didn't fall that much when they've lost 2 out of 3. Actually, they went up. They were all the way up to 43. They could be so sitting pretty. They really could be sitting pretty. They're 34-15. Their out of conference strength of schedule is 124. Their overall strength of schedule is 90. Unfortunately, because of what's happened, they're gonna have to do damage in the tournament. I don't know if you have to get to the championship, but you got to win a couple of ball games, and they don't have anybody else but themselves to blame. They have not pitched well in a big spot. Maybe the schedule didn't fall the way it should have with, Coastal on the road and Troy on the road. I remember a couple last year. All right, so South Alabama, they had it backwards. If they could have played, they ended up playing like Coastal at home and Southern Miss on the road. If those 2 series could have been flipped, go to Coastal and then play Southern Miss at home, they may have been better off. But it was the other way, and so they got shellacked. And so this is what happens with the Cajuns. Who do we trust these days? Chase Morgan actually pitched pretty well. I will give that. I overlooked that. Chase, because Langevin, for the first time really since he's been in the bullpen, forget about the loss that he had against Southern Miss, that he got tattooed against Troy, and we just haven't seen that. Chase Morgan had left the game giving up only 1 run. He left when the game was 2-1. And by the time Langevin was done, it was 4-2. So Chase Morgan actually pitched pretty well. I kind of overlooked that. And he pitched into the 5th. So I'm just not sure. I guess that's the guy I trust the most right now is Chase. So, excuse me. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure what to expect. I mean, maybe they're going to make a regional, but do we really think they're going to be able to compete with an ACC, SEC, or Pac-12 team? I just don't. I don't see that happening. Maybe they'll, they got to go to Georgia Southern. They get South Alabama at home. I don't trust this team right now. I don't trust this team in a big spot. I just don't. I don't. I trust Kyle DeBarge. All right. So when I was done taping that Barry McKnight thing, we joked, not that much off the record, but don't pitch to Kyle DeBarge. Why are we pitching to Kyle DeBarge? Ever? So what was he, 0 for 3 on Sunday? And now we're pitching to him with runners on at first and second. 3-run bomb. What are we doing? Stop pitching to Kyle DeBarge. It's unreal, right? There's nobody else hitting in the lineup. I know Trey LaFleur had a big ball game yesterday. We mentioned Connor Higgs. A couple of guys had good ball games. Like LaFleur had 3 base hits. Higgs, DeBarge had 2 hits. Taylor Pastor and Stelly had 3 base hits. And even Torres, 2 for 5 yesterday. He's up almost to 300. But for the most part, nobody else is hitting as consistently as Kyle DeBarge is in the lineup. Don't pitch to Kyle DeBarge. This is baseball 101. Not pitching to Kyle DeBarge. I'm just not. And then, we're going to be careful with him. All right. They missed with a 2-1 pitch. It's 3-1. Walk his ass. You got to be kidding me. We're going to come back from a 3-1 count? I guess these guys know more than I do, but that is outrageously foolish. All right. He overall at the plate still had a good series. What did he do? And I think he's going to be, and there's some guys with some better stats, more hits, higher batting average, home runs. There's some guys out there that absolutely could end up getting Sun Belt Player of the Year, but Kyle DeBarge is having a phenomenal season, right? I mean, I guess he was preseason Player of the Year, and he has lived up to it. Absolutely. Let's see what he did against Troy. I mean, are you kidding me? Against Troy. He was 6 for 15, drove in 6 runs, scored 5 runs, and had a couple of home runs. I mean, I just, keep on pitching to him. Keep on pitching to him. Just not pitching to Kyle DeBarge. At the, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, unfortunately. But the way STM lost in the Louisiana Louisiana high school championships, the team that beat STM for the state title, or maybe in the semis, the team that beat STM, I guess it was the semis, walked the catcher every single time. And this is in a 0-0 game. We're not pitching to the catcher. Not letting her beat us. She's walked. Was not even a discussion. I'm just walking Kyle DeBarge. I guess if he's leading off, I'll pitch to him because then it can only be only 1 run, but I ain't pitching to. I don't care if it's second base is open. I don't care if third base is open. I'm putting Kyle DeBarge on. I don't care if there's 1 out. I don't care if there's no outs. I don't care. Don't pitch to Kyle DeBarge. I mean, I don't get it. Stupid. All right. Cajun softball. Talking about waking up. Their 89 Sun Belt Series winning streak is alive. They lose the first game to Troy 3-0. So that the Cajuns and Troy, Troy was on the upper hand. They win the softball game. They win the first baseball game, and they were up 7-0 in the second game. Troy explodes for 6 runs in the first inning, and they make it 7-0. Cajuns were down 10-0 before they got on the board. CC, the shortstop, hit a 2-run home run, and that got him back into it. It got the crowd in. I'll also say this, because I have been poo-poo about the crowds at baseball. I thought there was pretty good crowds for softball. It wasn't LSU crowds, but I thought the stands behind the plate, right? Not so much in the outfield, but behind the plate was like 80 to 90% full. Wasn't completely full, but it was. I was impressed. And Thursday we had rain. The game was delayed till 7:30. That's tough. Rain on Friday, right? Although it was clear when the game started, and a really early start time on Saturday noon. I thought it was a really good crowd, and I even tweeted it out. Let this crowd get back into it, and you'll see. I need a name for a Lamson meltdown because we've seen it before. I go back to the Arizona Super Regional, but we've seen others where they can't hold a lead. I know the Cajuns are a really good softball team, and it's been that way since I got here, and way before I got here in 2014. But I have seen. It's kind of like. You know what the equivalent would be? Yeah, you kind of see LSU at the box. You have seen many of really good pitchers melt down in the 9th inning trying to close out, or maybe even the 8th inning trying to close out a game against LSU, and they struggle in a big way. All right. A&M came in as the number 1 team in the nation, and I know they won on Sunday, but they did not pitch well late in games Friday and Saturday. So you can see them. So I would put the equivalent of what happens in the box with LSU. They come back all the time. You can see that at Lamson Park as well. And that's exactly what happened. They get a big 5-run inning. I'm not sure they had a shot to run rule them, but they win that ball game 11-7. They do enough on Saturday to win. So they win the series. And then something I hadn't seen before, someone says that softball does it, but I'd never seen it before. When you do a senior day, first of all, I like the idea that they do senior day after the game. Now with Cajuns softball, that's cool because usually they're going to win. All right. Other sports, not the case, right? Football is always first before the game. But softball is after the game. First of all, more people are going to be there. Even if you tell people to show up to be there at, and this is early noon, you tell them to be there quarter of, they're going to be late. And so You got much more people waiting there after the game. And then you included Troy in that. I had never seen that. I had never seen a home team honor the road team for roses. And you can see Jerry Glasgow giving roses. Congratulations on a great career. Best of luck. Thank goodness you're leaving. Right? I mean, take care. Adios. We don't need to see you again because you hit the ball all around the ballpark this year. And all the, I think that's pretty cool. You don't see that. I hadn't seen that before. I guess ULM had done that with the Cajuns the week before. So maybe that's where they got the idea from. Although someone tweeted at me that they've done that before. I don't remember seeing that. I will also say Denelli Locker, the transfer from Iowa, is the only Cajun senior. Cajuns need a little bit more pitching for next year, but they're going to be loaded. The Cajun softball team is going to be absolutely loaded. You got the first baseman coming back. Caleb Volderman's okay in right field. But, I mean, you got Langoliers coming back. You got Elistad coming back. Maya Davis is coming back. Cece's coming back. Vic is coming back. Maddie Hayden coming back, or in theory, right? We'll see who leaves transfer portal-wise. And I'm sure you got some recruits and some younger girls that hadn't played yet. But if you can get another pitcher or two, this Cajuns team is going to be loaded. If they have one senior. Last year, remember, they had 3, but those were pretty big seniors. 2 girls. Well, I think it was all 3 girls in the circle, right? It was 3 girls in the circle. One was Kendra, Keeley, and then somebody else. But they were pretty big parts. But yeah, the Cajuns are in pretty good shape for next year. That could be the team. They need add a little bit more pop and another pitcher or 2, and they'll be in good shape. All right. Anyway, the Cajuns take 2 out of 3 from Troy. They are now 12th. Let me see. By the way, what my life has come down to, I was watching Missouri, South Carolina softball. Never in my wildest dreams would I think I'd be watching Missouri, South Carolina softball. The reason I was watching Missouri, South Carolina softball is that Missouri is 1 spot ahead of the Cajuns. Now, they still are. They're 11th. Cajuns are 12th. My Orange, by the way, which I don't know anything about, but they are the Syracuse Orange. They take 2 out of 3 from Florida State. Cajuns are now ahead of Florida State. Cajuns are in good shape to host. Jerry Glasgow says they want to get to the championship game. If they can get to the championship game, and he says play Texas State. And I think last night I was on Cajun Nation with Fausti. I forgot to tweet that out. Texas State's 19th. So I think I said that the Cajuns were the only G5 school ranked in the top 40. I said Charlotte was like 35 at the time. But Texas State is the top 20 team, which obviously helps the Cajuns. But the Cajuns are ahead of Florida State, ahead of Arkansas, ahead of Alabama. Alabama lost 2 out of 3 to Auburn. But Missouri ends up winning 5-2, I think, in 10. They had a girl hit a bomb for a 3-run jack in the 10th inning with 2 outs. So, like, South Carolina, I don't know how much they would have fallen, but it doesn't have to fall that much because South Carolina is 29th. So I don't know how much Missouri would have fallen if they won. They didn't go up any. I think Florida beat Georgia, but those 2 teams are right next to each other. They're 8, 9, and 10. Now, LSU softball, and we'll get to baseball here in a second. LSU softball lost. They got their strength of schedule is 2nd. Their non-conference RPI is 3. Their non-conference strength of schedule is 21. Cajuns' non-conference schedule is 1. Their non-conference RPI is 23. It very well could happen. They didn't win a whole lot of, they're only LSU compared to some of these other teams. Them and Georgia are both 12-12 in the SEC. Missouri's 13-11. So some of these other teams, Texas 23-4 in the Big 12, Oklahoma 22-5, Duke 20-4 in the ACC, Tennessee 19-5. Right? Oklahoma State 21-6, UCLA 17-4. Right? The Cajuns in the Sun Belt 22-2. So some of these teams have not such great records. Like Alabama's 10-14. Now, I think the Cajuns are going to host. Foot thinks you might line them up with LSU, which not in the same regional, but maybe in the super regional, which would be one of the all-time great Louisiana sporting events, for a chance to go to Oklahoma City to win that. That would be outstanding. Meanwhile, all right, so then we've done Cajuns baseball, Cajuns softball, a little LSU softball. LSU lost to Liberty. Did I say that? They lost the Sunday game to Liberty 3-1. It did not affect, maybe they dropped one, but it didn't affect them too much. We'll see what happens in the SEC tournament. All right. Cajuns not playing until, is it Thursday? Thursday. Let's see here. Thursday at 10 a.m., I think. Yes. Thursday, 10 a.m. They get the winner of James Madison Southern Miss. The difference between, I don't know if it's this year's tournament or before. Now, it's good and bad, right? You don't need a lot of pitching in this thing if you are the Cajuns. Do you have to win? Let me see how many games you have to win. 1, 2. You only have to win 3 games. So it's not like a regional. Like last year, they needed the pitching that they had against LSU because they lost to LSU. So then you got to play the game just to face LSU. That's 3. Then you got to beat LSU. That's 4. And then you got to beat them again. That's 5. That's a lot of pitching. And the Cajuns don't have that pitching. So they need to win their first 2 games in a regional, which they should be hosting. Okay. Now, LSU baseball, you got to give them credit, man. All right. That's as well as they played. As Jay Johnson mentioned, they ran out of pitching against A&M. Right. They win. Maybe it's just because they won the series. You're certainly feeling better about LSU now. They are, what are they, 35? The 34. All right. They had gotten up to 32, something like that, but they're sitting there at 34. Now they're going to Alabama. If they take 2 out of 3 from Alabama, they're going to be a top 30 club, flat out. Where's Alabama? Alabama's 14th. Kind of an odd deal. They're 10-14 in the SEC. Their RPI is 14. They're not very good. But they're tough at home. And if LSU goes in there and takes 2 out of 3, and then they get Ole Miss, they very well could have those 13 wins. Yeah. 2 out of 3, we'll give them 11, and then 2 out of 3 gives them 13. And they could sweep Ole Miss. Ole Miss, where are they? Did I miss them? Ole Miss is 25, but they're 9-15. They're the same thing as LSU, 9-15 in the SEC. So they could absolutely take down Ole Miss. I should mention, going back to the Cajuns for a second, the Sun Belt has anywhere from maybe 3 to 5 teams getting in, depending on who may win the Sun Belt Conference tournament. I think the Sun Belt Conference tournament is wide open. All right. Cajuns are 50th. All right. Troy, which, took 2 out of 3 from Cajuns, actually moved down. I think they were 46. They're now 47. Southern Miss, sweeping Coastal, by the way. They're 42. All right. So Georgia Southern and App State in their 70s. They got to win it. James Madison has fallen to 37. Coastal is 32. They've lost 8 in a row. They're struggling, though the last 2 series they should win. And South Alabama, their momentum was curtailed when they got a rain out on Saturday and they got shellacked twice by App State. They are 65. So that's going to be tough. But you could still get, Coastal, JMU's got this odd deal. They're 37, but I'm not sure how good they are. But could you get Coastal, James Madison, Troy Cajuns, and Southern Miss in there? You could have anywhere, I think, from 3 to 5 teams in the Sun Belt. That's pretty good. All right. That would be a really good year for the Sun Belt. All right, back to again, LSU. They are right where they want to be, And these guys who are talking regional and super regionals, they may not be wrong, right? I saw people tweeting out who wants to face LSU in a regional. The thing is, if they're not hosting, we'll see how they are on the road. Right. Some of this has been done at home. They did take 2 out of 3 from Missouri, but they took 2 out of 3 from Auburn at home. They took 2 out of 3 from A&M at home. We'll see what happens on the road. All right. Just ran out pitching on Sunday. It is what it is, right? A&M with 1 win. But LSU has put themselves in a spot where, they were literally asking if they were going to get in the NCAA tournament or the SEC tournament like Friday. Right? Moscona's having Kendall Rogers on. What do they have to do to get in the NCAA tournament? Usually that's not the case. Usually it's like, what do they got to do to host, and what do they have to do to be a national seed? That's not the case anymore. I don't think a hosting is a possibility, but if they sweep Alabama and they sweep Ole Miss and win a couple of ball games in the SEC tournament, why was my numbers 31? Did I have that right? What's going on here? My numbers seem off. The math seems off. They've played 24 games. Oh, no, so they've played 24. They're 9-15. They've played 24 games. So if they win them all, they'll be 15-15. That's 30. Okay. My math was off in my head. If they finish 15-15, again, you know who's going to get the benefit of the doubt? LSU. And if they finish up after what was a brutal beginning to the season, and especially the previous, they got swept by Tennessee. I think they got swept by Vandy and lost 2 of 3 to Florida. Like, they had lost 8 out of 9 SEC games. It was going in the wrong direction. If they finish up 2 out of 3 to A&M, sweeping Alabama, and then sweeping Ole Miss, finishing up, winning 8 out of 9, and win a couple of games in Birmingham, they're gonna host. Yeah, hosting is not out of the question. I don't think that'd be too far to go for a national seed unless somehow they win the SEC tournament. And I'm not sure if LSU has enough pitching. They got 2 guys, and they don't have a third one yet. They got issues on Sunday, so they're going to have issues in a regional as well. So if it's at home, it'd be much easier. All right. It is the Schultz Cast. Please subscribe. I got to do a better job of getting people to subscribe to this because it's kind of locked in, if you will, on I'm like 106. I'm not sure what the holdup is there. We've done a good job on Locked On Sunbelt. I've gotten half of the coaches on, half. Mike Desimo should be this week. Hopefully Del McGee will be this week. Clay Helton could be this week. Haven't heard back from Marshall. That's Charles Huff. We kind of had Bob Chesney and Jared Parker on. I don't know if they want to come on again. We'll see. And again, Sean Clark's going to be tough, right? He's lost a player, right? And we're not talking transfer portal. We're talking passing away. So that's I don't need to get into that. But I don't know. So now who am I missing? Let me see here. Better just to look at the standings, right? With Chesney, App State, Coastal, we had Tim Beck on. We had Ricky Ronnie on. We're trying to get the 3 others, Georgia State, Georgia Southern, and Marshall. All right. Troy, we had GJ Kinney on. I should get Major Applewhite on. Major Applewhite will come on. Just had Butch Jones. He was great. Mike Desimo will come on this week. We had the Fighting Will Halls on, and we had Brian Vincent on. All right. So for some reason, South Alabama is it. 3 is going to be difficult. So I'll get 11 on. That's pretty good. We'll throw it out there for the guys to see if they want to come back on, admitting that they just got there. So I would have to, it's really easy to do it the first time. Getting the second questions, I'm going to have to do some work. getting 15, 20 minutes out of the second one, then I'm going to have to look into it. And we've got some quarterbacks transferring in. Troy got a quarterback, right? Also, I don't think the Cajuns lose all that much. Let me see here. JMU is bitching and moaning, the fans are, about losing a bunch to Indiana. I think they lost 12 players to Indiana. I don't think the Cajuns lost all that much after the fact. Tyler Hatcher went into the portal April 23rd. I mean, is that it? I mean, we know they lost Zeon Chris and Kendra Gant, but this is all old. Yeah. They have not lost that much at all. That's 24. That's on 3. Let's see 24/7. And he was hot, right? We put that video up. He knew, again, I got the phone in front of my face. So he knows what he's doing. He knows whatever he says is going to go out there. The Cajuns have just not lost a lot of players to the transfer portal this year. That's pretty good. They lost a wide receiver, AJ J-Rowe. Cameron George was, again, January, right? They just haven't lost all that much. Not a lot of guys went into the portal. We'll see. All right, 58 people in here on a Monday morning Schultz cast. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, I didn't post it. Well, let's talk about this first. The Voodoo, okay? And so we back hosting last summer with my guy Lyndon Burton. He was all pumped up about the Voodoo going to Lake Charles. And I guess we've been through this. But I was like, all right, first of all, they're not playing for another year, and wake me up when they do. All right. And you go back, it's still probably on the Voodoo website. See how long we're not moving to, Lake Charles, we're staying. Okay, whatever, Didn't play one game, which is basically what I said. Then they decided to move to Lafayette with a week and a half notice. Okay. I put the over-under at that point in time at 3 games. Let's see what happens. They had more, which was 500 people, maybe. More people than I thought would show up. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that the AFL was originally, wasn't it indoor football in the winter, right? Like it's a little chilly out. So come on, which, it's kind of like like post Super Bowl, like February, March, and April, and maybe playoffs in May. Now they're starting in April. Like this is the best weather. I know it was a little rainy this past week, but I mean, the weather for international festival was awesome, right? This is like the best weather of the year in South Louisiana. Is like the end of March, April, and May. And starting Memorial Day or so, it gets really toasty. Why are we watching football inside? I don't get it. All right. Anyway, they played one game against a team that was not supposed to be here, right? The Philadelphia team didn't show up. They're like disbanded. And they put some slap team together from Dallas and came in and played. All right. I guess the people who were there had a good time. All right. Well, now the team that was supposed to come in here and play didn't. So they've already postponed the game. At that point in time, I lowered it from 3 to 2.5. Now the Iowa team is disbanded. I'm putting the over under at 2. And I'm probably taking the under. Let's see if the Voodoo play another ball game. Seems to be a fly-by-night operation. I hope the check's cashed for the Cajuns, renting out Blackham. It just doesn't seem like a good thing. I think probably in this case, Lake Charles decided, you know what? We don't need this. All right. The AFL is about as shady gets. And I don't really know anything other than what I see. Seems shady. No, still can't figure out how to buy a Voodoo cap, by the way. I would buy a Voodoo cap. Can't buy a Voodoo cap. If you can't buy a cap to a sporting team, you're not a team. It's very easy to have a cap. All right. Someone said you got to Venmo the coach for a shirt. If I Venmo the damn coach, A, that's going to be while I'm standing there with him, and B, you damn well give me a helmet. I'm not Venmoing you for money for a shirt to the coach. I'm taking a helmet. Is that John Forcade? Yeah, I'm not buying the AFL. We'll see if they play another football game. I say no. I could be wrong. Probably am, but it looks shady to me. Kentucky Derby, by the way, my family won. My brother's a doctor in Louisville, and one of his former nurses is the wife of, was it Keith McPeak, of the trainer, who happened to win both the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby. So that's a good week. Historic weekend. Like over 70 years. Like since 1952, something like that. No one's ever won both of them. So kind of like the Masters par 3 tournament. No one who's ever won that has ever won the Masters. So players don't play it. Here, it hasn't happened since 52. And it was a great race. And so my family, my mom, we didn't know anything. My brother's like, Mystic Dan, bet on Mystic Dan. So my mother made some money on Mystic Dan, and my brother made some money on Mystic Dan. I did not. I saw the odds, like as they were making the walk towards the gate. So I still had some time. I didn't think of it, right? And boy, could I have used it. I'm not sure. I'm a big talker. You want to win something, right? So I probably have some money in my account that I haven't used in a bit. Let's roll the dice, right? Would have been a good roll of the dice. Anyway, so good stuff there. So it was a heck of a race. And for some reason I thought maybe they were posted as the odds. I thought the favorite was the Fearlessness was on the inside. And that was the wrong horse. That was not the case. I thought he was in the one shoot, and he was not. He was just listed first because he was the favorite. But I did see Mystic Dan followed him the whole way. He was number 3. And you could follow him the whole way on the inside. By the way, first of all, I don't know I probably shouldn't criticize, but I don't like the idea that they don't do and down the stretch they come anymore. I think that's one of the great calls. Hold on a second. Plug it in. There we go. Losing power. Yeah. So I think, and down the stretch they come is one of the great calls in sports. And maybe it was the guy who did it for a long time, but they come down around that turn and down the stretch they come. And it's, you might have 30 seconds from that. I think it's a great call. They don't do it anymore. Then the guy who called it didn't see Mystic Dan on the inside take the lead by like a couple of lengths. He's looking at the horses on the outside, and all of a sudden, he's got the binoculars, right? So he can call all the horses. And he sees the ones on the outside, and all of a sudden, he's like, oh, there's Mystic Dan in the lead by like a lot. And then, I was like, if that was another, 20 yards, he was going to lose. My brother's like, if that was another 10 feet, he was going to lose. Mystic Dan ran out of gas. I think the Preakness is shorter, so maybe they'll run that. I presume if you're running the Preakness and you win that somehow, he'll race the Belmont, but probably with no chance to win the Belmont because let's find out. All right. Length. In the Derby, 1.5 miles. Derby length. 1.25 miles. Okay. So Preakness length is 1.5 miles. Well, maybe not. It's 1 mile and 3/16. So not that much different. Another 1/8 of a mile. From 1.25 miles, that's not different. Okay, but the Belmont is 1.5 miles. That's a big difference. So I guess if you win the Preakness, you're going to have to run that because now you got a chance to make history. And as one brother said, now you're not racing against 20 horses, you're racing against 7 or 8. But we'll see how that happens. We'll see how that goes. All right. Again, wrapping up with the Schultz weight loss project. Put on 3 pounds since my low. Not bad. 213. Not awful. Did have some nachos with cheese and a hot dog with a lot of bacon and maybe a couple ice creams and some popcorn. Dave, how'd you put on 3 pounds? The name of the diet, if I ever write a book, the name of the diet is Stop Eating Crap Diet, and you will lose weight. So we'll see how we do today, eating wise. And again, change the workout a little bit. Again, the thing I'm happiest about is the 3 sets of 4 pull-ups. Really full range of motion. That's pretty good. I need to add push-ups. And again, we changed it a little bit because I can't keep on going up in weights because I only got 45s. And I don't really necessarily want to buy 50s or something like that. So instead of 3 sets of 20 or 25, whatever I was doing, 1 set, 8 reps, but 16 seconds a rep. I think it's supposed to be 6 up, 10 down, but I do 8 up, 8 down. It's easier to keep count. I shout out the number so I remember what rep I'm on. The only one that was a little bit too easy, I think, was the fly. Maybe the bench could have been a little bit tougher. The biceps was hard. Shoulders was hard. Tricep extension was good. Sometimes because you do so little weight, because I don't want to hurt myself, I grabbed a couple of 30-pound dumbbells for the biceps. They was too heavy. I went down to 25. So it's not what the first or second one feels like. It's like, okay, that's too heavy for the 5th or 6th one. So we'll see if it makes a difference moving forward. But that's where we are. Going to Louisville in 2 weeks. So if we could be the 210 by the time, this time next week, that'd be good. And maybe lose a little bit of weight from there. Did not win the bourbon raffle from New News. Saw some good stuff there. Maybe some good stuff a couple of hours away. A little bit far for me to drive 3 hours to pay a little bit extra. But someone may pick one up for me if they're in that direction. I am going to Louisville, so you'd think I'd be able to come back with some good bourbon from that. We'll see. Do you get a good bourbon from Old Forester? I can't get out of town. I'm actually, if I wanted to, I could, but that's kind of, to me, that's lame because I'm going up there to spend time with my nieces and nephew, my brother and sister-in-law. And if you go out of town, that's like half a day. So you don't want that. But I might be able to go buy that double oak from Peerless, which is a little bit pricey, but it's there. We'll see if we can get something from Old Forester or Michter's that you normally can't, right? So I'm not going to Bardstown. I'm not going out of town. No. All those are about an hour and a half away. But see if we can get in town. You can usually get something good in town. All right. Pretty good. We got the Cajuns presser today. So we'll hear from Deggs. I guess the good news is that Fluno did pitch. So if he was dealing with soreness, it couldn't have been all that bad because he did pitch. But we'll see. I think Chase Morgan pitched the best of all the starters, and I thought Blake McGehee pitched. It's gumption. Can we say gumption? Is that a word we still use? I thought Blake McGehee showed the most gumption for the Cajuns starters this week. I think Morgan probably pitched the best, but I think, in and out of trouble, McGehee was it. I think the Cajuns tried to stretch him a little bit too far after getting 4 really good innings. All right. Yeah. Look at this, up to 70. Watching this morning on a Monday morning Schultz cast. Go over on Lockdown Sunbelt as well. We're up to 1,200, over 1,200. Going to try to can I get 1,500? That seems like a nice round number by August 31st. That's like 4 months away, May, June, July, right? And we'll see if if we're at Sunbelt Media Days. If we're here, then I will be at Sunbelt Media Days. If I am not here, I might not be. We'll see. The process, I'm not ready to share just yet. The process of me getting a job continues to roll on. We'll see if that ends up working out. I'm not 100% sure it's going to. It seems like it's going in that direction, but you just never know. You never know. So I am one of those things I am not super confident in. That's not my jam. I wish I could be. Experience has unfortunately taught me otherwise. So we don't count chickens before they're hatched in that case. Thanks for tuning in. Again, please subscribe over on YouTube. 73. That's got to be a record for a Monday morning. People hop on a Monday morning. Again, not a great weekend for Cajuns baseball. Really good weekend for Cajun softball. They are in a position to host. Cajuns are going to have to win 5 out of 6 and do some damage in the Sun Belt tournament just to get in. And we'll see where we are. All right. We will see where we are. Again, we got the presser with Deggs and Jerry Glasgow today. So we'll see how that goes. I don't think I posted the Jerry Glasgow stuff for this or the girls from Saturday. So I can do that coming up. So again, thanks very much for tuning in. We will be back again tomorrow. Have a great Monday, everybody. It is the Schultz cast. Go subscribe over on YouTube. Also, this will be posted almost immediately on Apple and Spotify. If you want to, download the audio portion of it over on Apple, please rate and review. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.